One is the former president, a Republican titan from Manhattan. The other, a Democratic socialist, the newly elected mayor of Queens. They called each other despot and lunatic. Their rivalry threatened to tear New York politics apart. Until the day they walked into the White House. What happens when two mortal enemies sit down to negotiate the fate of a city? Did the feud die in the Oval Office?
It's just to fund tax cuts for his billionaire donors. Let's cut out the middleman. Why should I debate Donald Trump's puppet when I could debate Donald Trump himself? If Donald Trump is serious about this, he should come to New York City.
It was a political clash for the ages. On one side, the 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, the Republican titan and native New Yorker. On the other, the self-proclaimed Democratic Socialist, Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani, a young, insurgent voice who rose from the streets of Queens to the steps of City Hall. For months, their rivalry was the stuff of political theater. Trump branded Mamdani a communist lunatic. Mamdani shot back, calling the president a despot and his worst nightmare. The hostility was clear. So, when the two agreed to meet in the Oval Office, the world braced for a political explosion. But what unfolded was nothing short of a stunning plot twist.
Do a great job as mayor despite months of a bitter back and forth. Were you surprised by the warm welcome that you got?
I was looking forward to having a meeting with the president to speak about the needs of the 8.5 million people who call the same city we love home, and to speak frankly about the
On a
affordability
crisp Friday
crisis that it's
afternoon,
pushing.
the ideological opposite stepped into the inner sanctum of American power. The expectation was a tense standoff, a diplomatic minefield where one false move could ignite another round of public warfare. But that's not what happened. Instead of fireworks, there was camaraderie. President Trump, who had just weeks earlier threatened to withhold federal funds from a Mamdani administration, now offered effusive praise. He called the mayor-elect very rational and predicted he would do a really great job for their mutual home, New York City. For Zohran Mamdani, this meeting was about strategy, not surrender. He came with a singular focus: to deliver for New Yorkers struggling with the surging cost of living.
With the promise of cheaper groceries, Donald Trump ran a presidential campaign committing to lowering the cost of living. What our success will show is that it is not enough to diagnose the despair
To deliver for New
working-class
Yorkers
Americans'
struggling with the
lives.
surging cost of living. He steered the conversation away from political ideology and straight into policy, rent, groceries, and utilities. These issues, ironically, are what secured both men's recent victories, appealing to a working-class frustration that transcends party lines. When they emerged to face the press, the question on every reporter's mind was simple: did this duo end their differences? The public display suggested a resounding yes. They pledged to work together on housing and public safety. Trump even defended Mamdani from a reporter asking about past fascist comments, interjecting with a simple, "That's okay. You can just say yes." It was a bizarre, almost protective moment that stunned the political press corps. The headlines screamed unlikely alliance, feud ended, and adversaries to allies. But a political meeting in the White House is not a reconciliation. It is, first and foremost, a transaction. For the president, it was a moment to appear magnanimous and bipartisan, showing he is willing to work for the good of his hometown. For Mayor-elect Mamdani, it was a pragmatic move to secure a working relationship with the federal government, a lifeline for New York City's ambitious agenda. But the true test of this so-called alliance came just 2 days later. Speaking on national television, Mayor-elect Mamdani was asked if he still stood by his previous, harsh criticisms of the president. His answer was unambiguous: "Everything that I've said in the past, I continue to believe." He confirmed he still viewed the president as a fascist and a despot. The strategic détente in the Oval Office had not erased their fundamental ideological chasm. The meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani took place in the Oval Office on Friday, November 21, 2025 too. This meeting marked a shift in tone after previous public disagreements between the two leaders. Trump had previously called Mamdani a communist, and Mamdani had labeled Trump a despot. However, during the meeting, they exchanged compliments and discussed ways to collaborate on city issues. They discussed cooperation on crime, immigration, and law enforcement, including IC policies. Trump described the meeting as a great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting.